Hello, and thanks for tuning in. You are listening to a special deep dive episode on Building Fortunes Radio and the Youmongus Radio Network. In this deep dive review, we will focus on the education, experience, and opinions of reputable people and sources on Building Fortunes Radio. Peter Mingils hosts the original shows with distinguished special guests, or research, news, and developments. These podcasts are so good, they are published everywhere. From highly specialized sites such as MLM.news and DirectSelling.news to the Building Fortunes Radio and Youmongus Radio Networks, and even on Amazon's Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Youmongus.com is a corporate sponsor, and Youmongus promotes each radio show, and Deep Dive is educational, motivational, and inspirational for the Building Fortunes Radio and Youmongus Radio listening audience. Check out the music link and the deep dive review links as they add a unique feature worth your time and enjoyment. If you have questions or want to host a show on the Youmongus Network, call or text Peter Mingils on 386-864-1928. Youmongus. It's really big. Now on to our deep dive review. Let's get started.
Imagine trying to build a media empire today. I mean, the picture in your head is probably a Manhattan skyscraper, right?
Oh, yeah. Massive corporate mergers, an army of executives arguing over algorithms, all of that.
Exactly. But what if the blueprint for this sprawling, intricate digital broadcasting network actually belongs to a guy who's operating out of his house? Like literally letting the dog out between interviews and testing his cell phone mic live on the air.
It completely shatters our traditional understanding of what it takes to build a media conglomerate. I mean, we are looking at the absolute definition of a modern anomaly here.
We really are. So today we're diving deep to extract that exact blueprint. Our source material is a single transcript from a very special Friday night broadcast. This was July 24, 2026.
Right, the solo show.
Yeah. So Peter Mingils, who's the owner of Building Fortunes Radio, he decided to step in and host a special edition of the show just to update his listeners and his raving fans on everything happening with the network.
Because his usual co-host, Chan Hook, took the night off.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And that ended up giving us this incredible, totally unfiltered look under the hood of his entire operation.
And honestly, what that solo broadcast reveals is just a masterclass in infrastructure. I mean, he's giving his listeners this real-time update on how one single broadcaster built a multi-platform AI-enhanced media network completely from scratch.
Reading through this, the best analogy I could come up with is that Peter Mingils operates like a digital architect. You know?
Okay, I like that. How so?
Well, most content creators out there, they're just renting an apartment on someone else's network. They upload a video to one social media platform and just pray they don't get evicted by a sudden algorithm change.
Oh, exactly. The algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh away.
Right. But Peter didn't rent. He built the entire city. He built the platforms, the domains, the AI tools, the distribution pipelines.
That distinction right there is the foundation of his entire operation. He didn't just, create the content. He created the digital real estate that the content actually lives on.
And if you're listening right now and you're trying to build a brand today or market a business, or you just genuinely want to understand how modern media empires function, this unscripted broadcast is invaluable.
It's a total roadmap of relentless consistency and technical adaptation, really.
So to understand the sheer scale of the network that Peter updates his audience on in 2026, we have to look at this crucial, really defensive business decision he made way back in 2012.
Yeah, because the network didn't start out massive. It started as a survival mechanism, basically.
Right. So let's unpack that origin story. Back in 2012, Peter starts a show with a friend named Don on the Blog Talk Radio platform.
Just kind of testing the waters, right?
Exactly. He admits he was mostly just trying to learn the ropes of podcasting, but he instituted this pivotal philosophy from day one. He absolutely refused to let anyone else solely own his content.
Which is so smart.
Right. He was perfectly happy to let a platform publish his shows, but he systematically double-published every single episode on his own server through his own domain, which was buildingfortunes.com.
Which is incredibly prescient for 2012. I mean, that was an era when most creators were blindly trusting platforms to just safeguard their archives forever.
Yep. And eventually, as happens so often in tech, the specific blog talk radio division he was using completely shut down.
And while countless other creators undoubtedly woke up to find their audiences and their life's work just erased overnight, Peter was completely insulated.
Yeah, his content was securely housed on his own server. And that really forced a massive shift in his strategy. By owning the domain buildingfortunes.com and later buildingfortunes.net, he realized he controlled the distribution.
He hit the leverage.
Exactly. He transitioned from relying on a platform's live broadcast tool to actually recording the shows himself. And that gave him total flexibility to figure out how to push those recordings out to the world on his own terms.
But as he starts building out this independent infrastructure, he runs into a very common branding bottleneck.
Oh my gosh, the naming convention.
Yeah.
This part of the broadcast is so funny because it's just so relatable.
It really is.
So he had this lead management system, and he created a product called Phase 2, which lived on the domain youroneconomy.com.
Classic tech naming right there.
Right. Then he realizes his customers want more features, so he makes Phase 3. But he catches the fatal flaw in this logic almost immediately.
Yeah, he actually tells the audience, like, eventually we'll be on phase 87 and customers won't even remember which one they're on.
Exactly. He needed a catchy, all-encompassing brand name that could just house infinite products. And after a lot of brainstorming, he lands on the word Youmongus.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The spelling.
Yes, he spells it Youmongus.
Youmongus.
It's brilliant, honestly.
And he goes on this absolute buying spree. He registers Youmongus.com with that unique spelling, Youmongus ads, Youmongus.radio.mm, Youmongus.radio.fm.
I think he even bought Youmongus movies at one point.
He did. And my immediate question when I read this was, like, whether spelling it with a Y was a deliberate marketing hook to make people stop and stare, or just a really clever way to bypass expensive, already taken dictionary domains. Oh, it's a bit of both.
It felt like naming a boat something highly specific, like the Salty Pretzel, just so you can never lose it in a crowded marina.
That's a great way to put it. It functions perfectly as a quirky hook, but the underlying mechanism is this brilliant SEO strategy. I mean, search engine optimization.
How so? Like mechanically?
Well, when you create a highly unique spelling, you are essentially generating a net new keyword in the eyes of search algorithms.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Right. If Peter used the standard dictionary spelling of humongous, he'd be locked in this perpetual super expensive war with dictionary websites, established companies, movie studios, all just fighting for Google rankings.
Right. He'd just get buried on page 10.
Exactly. By spelling it Youmongus, he isolated his brand from the noise. When someone searches for that specific string of letters, the algorithm doesn't have to guess what they want. Peter owns 100% of the page 1 results.
He essentially built a search engine moat around his entire business. So, okay, he has the foundation, he owns his content, he has his uniquely spelled domains, and because he controls the servers, he's able to use those digital assets to just weaponize his distribution.
And that brings us to what Peter frequently refers to on the broadcast as his PM marketing principles.
Yes, PM marketing, which stands for Peter Mingils marketing. It's his proprietary system for just total digital omnipresence. And when you look at this strategy, it's not just a single RSS feed.
No, the product line is this massive interconnected web.
Right. He updates the listeners on the core pillars. So you have the main Building Fortunes radio show, but then there's also Youmongus Radio and Key Ice My Health Radio.
And those podcasts don't just float in a vacuum.
Exactly. They are deeply embedded within a network of highly niche news sites that he built from scratch. Like we're talking direct selling news, health coach news, MLM.news, and alternativehealthcare.news.
The structural design here is so key. He isn't building isolated silos. He's building an ecosystem where every single piece of content feeds the others.
And the distribution engine for the audio itself is staggering. These podcasts are published on the Building Fortunes Radio and Youmongus Radio Network, obviously, but that's just the starting line.
Right, they are aggressively rebroadcast literally everywhere.
Yeah. He pushes the feeds to Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Player FM, and iHeartRadio. He literally tells the audience, if it looks like we're everywhere, it's because we are.
Which is a flex, but it's true.
It totally is. But looking at this critically, is there a risk of brand dilution here? Like, if you spread yourself across hundreds of highly specific domains and every single platform known to man, do you lose your core identity, or is this just like the ultimate inescapable net for search engines?
Well, in traditional physical retail, you worry about brand dilution if your high-end luxury product shows up in a discount store, right?
Sure.
But in digital media, Visibility is the only currency that actually matters.
Yep.
By interlinking humongous ads into the Building Fortunes radio platform and pushing audio content to all these micro news sites, he's playing a volume game with the search algorithms.
So it's not about one perfect website.
Exactly. He's not trying to optimize a single website to get on the first page of Google. He's trying to BE the entire first page of Google for his specific niches by just surrounding the searcher with his various properties.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, for a long time, this omnipresence was strictly an audio game. He explicitly tells his audience he prefers audio because he works from home.
Right, the realities of a home-based business.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about multitasking. He's answering the door for deliveries, he's letting the dog out, his tech guys are calling him to reboot servers. He doesn't want to be chained to a desk on camera.
Because video production is traditionally incredibly demanding. It requires lighting, framing, and your undivided physical presence.
And that kills the operational agility of a solo entrepreneur.
Exactly.
But the tech landscape shifted. So in this July 2026 update, he announces he found an automated tool that solves this exact problem.
This was a huge pivot for the network.
Huge. He found a software that takes his audio files, automatically attaches relevant branding images, renders it into a movie file, and exports it.
Completely hands-off.
Yeah. Suddenly, this entirely audio-based PM marketing product line expands into video without him ever having to turn on a webcam. Now they are broadcast on YouTube at youtube.buildingfortunesradio, and they're on Facebook at facebook.com/buildingfortunesradio.
And what's really crucial here is his transparency about the process. He admits to the listeners that they're still tweaking this new video automation.
Right. He was saying, like, the archives might double post, the thumbnails might look a little quirky at first.
Exactly. But his philosophy is all about momentum. Just get the automation pipeline in place, let it be a little messy while you refine the API connections, and then once it's perfected, you have a hands-free video syndication machine running forever.
But of course, an automated infrastructure is absolutely useless without a constant stream of material flowing through the pipes. Which brings us to the most mind-boggling statistic of this broadcast, the content archive. He is managing over 13,000 interviews.
The sheer volume of that is just difficult to comprehend.
Right.
13,000 interviews,
Yeah.
ranging from 30 to 90 minutes each. I mean, he has documented decades of industry knowledge.
And it naturally forces the network into highly specific niche programming. Like, let's look at how he generates this content by focusing on one of the main pillars of his product line, which is Kiesk My Health Radio.
KISK, which stands for Keep It Simple Circle.
Yeah, and he owns Kiesk.business and Kiesk.life to support it, of course.
The origin story of KISK My Health is actually quite touching, honestly.
It really is. It started as a memorial for James Gormley, who is a deeply respected figure in the natural ingredients business.
And Peter co-hosts this specific show with Stephen Lukowski.
Captain Cranman.
Yes, Captain Cranman. Stephen is a 30-year veteran of the cranberry industry with over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. And they use this show to highlight what Peter calls the unseen heroes of the natural ingredients world.
Right, so instead of just talking about general health, like eat your vegetables, they dive deep into the weeds.
They focus on the mechanisms of the industry. They interview the chemists actively formulating the supplements, the labs executing the quality testing, the raw material providers.
They bring on corporate sponsors like Pure, which is the company that actually manufactures the stevia you end up buying at Walmart, or Greenvit, a botanical extract manufacturing facility in Poland. Or Step Change Innovations.
It's incredibly technical insider baseball kind of stuff.
But then you pan out and you look at the staggering diversity of the rest of the network. Like, he's hosting Bara AI, a company using artificial intelligence to support people with autism.
Right.
He's got Coach Irvin Harris breaking down basketball strategies, Terry Kelleher discussing the intricacies of building a massive public access media platform, Mike Harrington debating the nuances of mortgage protection insurance versus PMI.
And that's just the educational side. I mean, there's also a robust consumer advocacy wing of the network, which operates with a completely different, highly aggressive tone.
Oh, definitely. They do these massive multi-hour deep dives into anti-MLM or multi-level marketing litigation.
Which is a wild shift in tone.
It is. And just to be clear, on our end, if you're tuning in, we aren't taking sides or validating the legal claims of any of these disputes. We are purely analyzing Peter's programming strategy.
Right, exactly.
But his network aggressively covers lawsuits involving figures like Marco Mukabar and his litigation with Prime My Body and Market America. They document controversies surrounding Hannah Alonso and Young Living.
They also feature Scott Johnson's program, Stop the Amway Tool Scam, which has become one of their longest-running and most deeply researched shows.
And add on top of that a heavy focus on charities, supporting veterans, foster care initiatives, and exposing incredibly dark subjects like sex trafficking.
It really feels like Peter operates as a digital archivist.
Seriously. He is preserving highly specific botanical science lore 1 hour and running a spotlight on complex corporate litigation the next. Which made me wonder, how does one broadcaster balance highly technical formulation talk about stevia extracts with aggressive consumer advocacy, exposing alleged corporate scammers?
Well, he achieves that balance by acting as the infrastructure rather than the sole expert.
That makes sense.
His connecting thread is his stated mission, which is making a difference in your world. Whether he's providing a platform for a chemist who deserves recognition for a clean product, or handing the mic to a consumer advocate shining a light on deceptive business practices, the mechanism is identical.
He's just turning on the microphone.
Exactly. He is utilizing that massive digital omnipresence we discussed earlier to force search engine visibility on the topics and voices he feels the mainstream is ignoring.
But the logistical wall you hit when you operate like that is time. Managing 13,000 interviews, multiple charity initiatives, daily anti-MLM litigation updates, and cranberry science across dozens of domains.
It's just physically impossible for a solo host.
There simply are not enough hours in the day for one human to schedule, record, edit, and publish all of that.
Which is precisely what forced the network to become an absolute pioneer in AI integration.
Yes.
He didn't adopt artificial intelligence because it was a trendy novelty. He adopted it as an operational necessity to keep the entire machine from collapsing under its own weight.
And the tech frontier of this network is so fascinating because they aren't just using ChatGPT to write lazy show notes. Peter's tech partner, Jeffrey, built a custom WordPress audio player from scratch using AI.
The Youmongus player.
Yes, he proudly calls it the Youmongus player. It features seamless playlists where one song fades perfectly into the next podcast episode, and it actually customizes its visual interface like dynamically turning cranberry red when a user clicks on the KeyX My Health show.
But the automation extends far beyond a clever media player. To solve the physical bottleneck of being a solo operator, they've deployed AI receptionists across the entire network.
This blew my mind. If you go to youmongus.com/specials, you can actually interact with these agents.
Grounding this in reality, this isn't science fiction anymore.
No. They are using API integrations to connect AI voice agents directly to their phone lines and calendars. These AI receptionists catch incoming calls while Peter is busy recording. They answer common customer service questions. They check his live schedule. And they can even text a caller a booking link or handle upselling.
And he notes they have 3 or 4 different AI agents running at any given time, constantly A/B testing to see which personality and script performs best.
Which ties directly back to why he hosted this solo broadcast about his PM marketing and product line updates in the first place.
Right, he's peeling back the curtain.
He is showing his audience in real time the exact automated workflow tools he's using to scale his own media empire, implicitly teaching them how they can adopt those same tools for their own businesses.
And to really understand the listener experience on a network this automated, we have to look at the unique features he rolled out.
I am slightly obsessed with these. First, you have to check out the music link.
This is a brilliant application of generative AI, honestly.
It is. Peter uses an AI program called Suno to generate custom motivational pop and rock songs based on his highly specific podcast concepts.
Right. He inputs his own acronyms and commands, and the AI generates full tracks with vocals and instrumentation.
Yeah, he has a song called Don Paw, which is an acronym he coined for the delusion of non-productive activities.
Gotcha.
Very. He has a track called Too Good to Be True and another named If They're Not Saying Yes, They're Saying No. You can find all of this at buildingfortunesradio.com under the music tab.
And it's not just a novelty.
Well, that's what I was wondering. When I first read this, I was like, is having an AI house band playing custom walk-up music for your podcast just a fun gimmick? But looking deeper, is this actually a psychological retention tool?
Oh, it's heavily rooted in cognitive science.
Yeah.
We know that music dramatically aids memory encoding.
Right, like learning your ABCs.
Exactly. If a listener hears an hour-long lecture on the dangers of business procrastination, they might forget the core concept by the time they wake up the next morning.
Sure.
But if that concept is distilled into a catchy, AI-generated pop song with a chorus about the delusion of non-productive activities, and that song plays during the intro and outro of the show, that acronym, DONPAW, is going to stick in their head for weeks.
Wow. Yeah, it's audio branding on steroids.
Absolutely.
But if the AI music solves the problem of keeping listeners engaged minute to minute, how do they solve the macro problem of getting a brand new listener to navigate a daunting 13,000 episode archive?
That's where his second unique feature comes in, the deep dive review links.
Yes. This is where AI summarization transitions from a convenience to a critical discovery tool. Because his archive is so vast and technical, they use AI to generate highly produced summary reviews of their own complex shows.
Right.
For example, check out the deep dive review links for Edie Rather's episode on the 3-second arrow shift.
Which is an incredibly dense cognitive behavioral concept about resetting your nervous system.
Exactly. Or they'll deploy these deep dives on those massive anti-MLM lawsuit episodes we talked about. It allows a new listener to grasp the core narrative of a 2-hour legal documentation reading in just a few minutes.
It creates a frictionless on-ramp. When you boast an archive of 13,000 episodes, the barrier to entry for a casual browser is overwhelming. They don't know where to start.
They just click away.
Right. These AI deep dive links curate that overwhelming volume, making it easily digestible and giving the listener a map of the territory.
And despite all this high-level AI automation, custom WordPress players, and massive search engine distribution webs, Peter keeps the operation incredibly grounded.
He really does.
Like right in the middle of discussing all this tech, he just casually gives out his direct cell phone number on the broadcast.
Which is the ultimate proof of his independent grassroots model. I mean, you will never tune in to a traditional media conglomerate and hear the CEO hand out his personal cell phone.
Never. He specifically tells the audience if you have questions about the PM marketing strategy or if you actually want to host a show on the network yourself, call or text Peter Mingils directly at 386-864-1928.
Wow.
And again, he repeats it for them, 386-864-1928. It is incredibly refreshing to see that raw level of human accessibility woven into such a highly automated, tech-forward operation.
It perfectly bridges the gap. He's utilizing the humongous scale of modern API technology, but he refuses to lose the personal, direct-to-consumer nature of the community he started building way back in 2012.
Pulling all these threads together, the core takeaways from this July 2026 update broadcast are really a masterclass in independent media. We've traced the journey from a simple, vulnerable blog talk radio show to a literal, humongous broadcasting empire.
And the foundational lesson that just cannot be overstated is ownership. If Peter had merely rented space on a platform instead of double publishing his audio files on his own buildingfortunes.com servers, his network would have died the moment his original platform shut its doors.
And that ownership enabled the PM marketing omnipresence. Because he controlled the source files, he could build syndication pipelines to rebroadcast across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, and iHeartRadio.
Right, and when the technology caught up, he utilized automated mapping tools to conquer YouTube and Facebook video without ever having to sit in front of a camera.
Finally, he proved that surviving at scale requires leveraging technology not just to create, but to manage the logistics.
Definitely. From Jeffrey's custom AI Youmongus player to the API-driven AI receptionist catching phone calls.
And utilizing unique retention tools like the music link and deep dive reviews to keep the audience engaged with those 13,000 episodes.
So if you take away anything from Peter Mingils' blueprint today, it's that taking absolute control of your digital real estate is the only true way to ensure long-term survival.
You cannot afford to just rent an apartment online. You have to become the digital architect of your own city.
Which brings us to a fascinating crossroads for the future of digital broadcasting, really.
Yeah, think about the trajectory we just mapped out. If one person operating from his house, letting the dog out, using a cell phone and a suite of custom AI integrations, can perfectly replicate the output and syndication of an entire corporate network today, what happens in 5 years?
It's a huge question.
What happens when the AI doesn't just manage the network schedules and summarize the archives, but starts autonomously generating the interviews, the niche news sites, and the hosts themselves?
It really forces us to ask what the role of the human broadcaster will be when the infrastructure can just build itself.
The digital real estate market is about to get a lot more crowded. Next time you open up a podcast app, ask yourself, who actually owns the ground this show is built on? Until next time, keep digging.
Wow, thanks for tuning in. That was a really great deep dive. You just finished listening in to a special deep dive episode on Building Fortunes Radio and the Youmongus Radio Networks. We hope you enjoyed it, learned a lot, and will share this with others important to you. In this deep dive review, we focused on the education, experience, and opinions of reputable people and sources on Building Fortunes Radio. Peter Mingils hosts the original shows with distinguished special guests, news, and developments. These podcasts are so good they are published everywhere, from highly specialized sites such as MLM.news and DirectSelling.news to the Building Fortunes Radio and Youmongus Radio Networks, and also on Amazon Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We hope you share them with others so you can make a difference in their world. Our corporate sponsor is Youmongus.com. Now you know why Youmongus promotes that each radio show and deep dive is educational, motivational, and inspirational for the Building Fortunes radio listening audience. If you like these deep dives, make sure you check out the music link and the deep dive review links, as they add a unique feature worth your time. If you have questions or want to host a show on the Youmongus Network, call or text Peter Mingils on 3868-641928. Youmongus, it's really big. Peter Mingils and I want to thank you for listening in to the deep dive. We wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work towards. Now, go make your world a better place.